all for play for still?
I think so. Do you want to bet against us?
Good evening, Aston Villa fans, and welcome to the third edition of the WSL Roundup. In this episode, we take a brief look back at the encounter of the weekend between Arsenal and Aston Villa at the Emirates Stadium, where 35,829 people gathered to watch what was a largely disappointing game as a spectacle. But we'll get on to that in a minute. Stephen, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good to hear it. All well. Since I last spoke to you a couple of minutes ago. Sorry it's taken us so long to get to this, despite the fact that we live in the same house. It just becomes increasingly difficult to get the time together to get this done and for the two of us to see the game. So, look, we'll briefly run through the teams and see where the changes were made. Do you want to run through the team first, Stephen?
Well, in goals was Daffy Van Damselaar. Then we switched to a back five this week from last week's four. We had right back Sarah Mailing. Three centre backs were Anna Patton, Rachel Corsi, and Dan Turner. Left back was Mads Pacheco, her first start back this season. And then midfield was Lucy Parker and Lucy Staniforth, with Blinkilde and Simone McGill making her first start for Aston Villa. And Rachel Daly was up front.
Yeah, and look, it was probably the best team we had available to us. We remarked when the teams came up on the screen that there was a dearth of talent on the bench and a dearth of players compared to the Arsenal starting bench. So they started with how many on the bench?
Villa only had 6 players on the bench. The Arsenal has 9, and of those 6 players, no defenders.
No defenders.
One sub goalkeeper.
So we're fairly thin on the ground, and I know we'll keep harking back to it, but we won't be the same team without that absolute superstar in there, Kenza Daly, and of course the suspended Kirsty Hansen makes life completely. It hamstrings us on that end of the pitch where we can, we've got the ability to mix it up with players who are coming into the team, and in fairness, I remarked last week that I thought Laura Blinkilde was quite light. I thought she was excellent. I thought she displayed some lovely touches. Her passes were good. She looked like a grown-up footballer compared to the week before. Now maybe she just maybe felt a little bit under pressure. Was the week before we played at Villa Park or the week before that? I think it was the week before that was Liverpool. The week before, was it? Yeah.
Wait, Liverpool.
Yeah, so look, it's a big step up as well to come and play in front of 35,000 people at the Emirates. It's imposing enough, so we started off quiet enough, and we kept them fairly quiet early on, didn't we?
Yeah, there's just the one cross, 10 minutes in. Daphne Van Damselaar kind of spilt it, but Pacheco was first to react, lucky enough for us. Another day, the strikers on the toes and it's a goal, but
exactly, which normally would be our luck. And in fairness to Daphne, she had the sun in her eyes. It was a strange kind of day. I know the commentator remarked that goalkeepers, the days of goalkeepers wearing baseball hats are gone, and look, we see that at all levels of the game now that the goalkeeper is such an inclusive player with the pass back, with coming to be sweeper keeper, and that sometimes means using your head. So you can see why they wouldn't be wearing a hat. I'm not sure who it was commentating, but she also remarked that she used to use a contact lens, a tinted contact lens in goal, which I'm sure a lot of goalkeepers do if that's the case, to keep the bright lights out of your eyes of the sun or of the floodlights. So I guess it's probably something we'll hear about a lot more often if somebody comes out and said that. So where do we go from there?
Well, great work from Simone McGill to flick it on. Unfortunately, there's nobody there, but she forced a corner by following up on her flick on, and from the corner we scored.
We scored, yeah.
Pacheco found herself free in the box,
Mm.
kind of spun off.
It will take nothing away from the finish, but it was terrible marking from Arsenal. It was a well worked corner. It was exactly where you want the corner to land, and you know one of the smallest players on the pitch is there with a free header, and by God, that she headed it well, didn't she, and placed it well.
No players picking up on the penalty spot, and then Katie McCabe at the back post, not even at the back post, holding the keeper's hand almost.
So she managed to find the space in between Katie McCabe and the post, which has got to be said for someone who doesn't score many goals. It was a brilliant header, absolutely brilliant header. Even if she didn't mean to put it in that corner, it was. We'll give her the benefit of the doubt. And I think it's only her second ever WSL goal.
Yeah, first since 2016.
Bonkers, absolutely bonkers. And look, let's hope it's something she'll add to her game, because we've said it before and we'll say it again. She's a favourite of ours, so we hope and wish that she does add goals to her game, because give us more reasons to celebrate.
Yeah, missing her the first 2 weeks really shows that she comes in and she gets her goal.
Yeah, and I suppose like she gets a goal. She's obviously a really important cog in the wheel. We never really looked under pressure with the back five that we deployed without the ball. It's just everything is in place apart from the attacking side, where when we're mixing things up, it's not to try and chase the game, and it's unfortunate that it came to that. But we'll get to that in a minute. But it should be pointed out that our central midfielders, everyone across the back, everybody I thought had an exceptional game. You couldn't single anybody out for any criticism on anything. It was a really good, tight performance in there. So that was on 25th minute. Yeah.
And after the goal, we pushed up again, and Daly had a header saved by Sinsberger. It wasn't too much trouble for the keeper, but still, she had to get across to it. Then there wasn't much in the first half. It was quiet enough. Yeah, we kind of played a bit of just let them keep the ball and just keep them at bay and keep them at arm's length to keep them away from our goal, really. And that was seemed to be the tactics to get in at half time and still be ahead. Yeah, just before the end of the half, we got it. Mas Pacheco got a yellow card for stopping a quick free kick, which wasn't even a free kick, really, if you ask me. No, it certainly didn't look like a free kick, and we'll address it now. I thought the referee was poor for us. I thought she awarded them some very soft stuff. I thought the commentary itself was very one-sided, and very unprofessional to come out at one point and say that the linesman's daughter or the assistant referee's daughter was an Arsenal fan. Was, I thought, absolutely bizarre. Why you would say that when Arsenal are playing on the pitch was beyond me. But anyway, it was said. It was unprofessional, and this is the BBC. So anyway, that's that much done. We'll get to another decision later on, which ultimately affected the game. Well, that foul / not foul led to Arsenal's only real chance of the first half, where Russo got on the end of it, headed back across, and Daly did brilliantly to flick it out of trouble. Well, not fully out of trouble, but she cleared it. Yeah, that's the main thing. Yeah, and took us into half time, still 1-0 up. Yeah, and I don't think it's fair to say that we were good value to be 1-0 up. It was a bit of a smash and grab, and we'd one chance. We took it. They were the better side. They looked like they had more to offer, but we were very well organised, I thought, defensively, and back five were excellent. Stuck to the plan. And to be fair, they were overworked. It was tough going for them, and they did a really, really good job. So at half time, had we any changes? We didn't. No. We didn't. No. Arsenal came out in the second half. They good blocking from Corsi in particular, had to really smash it off her head there from Russo, and she was down for a few minutes, and just shows them putting the body on the line for the club. They've been doing it all the match. Putting the body on the line, getting the blocks in, getting tough tackles in, shoulders, whole game. I thought.
Mm. Yeah, you say the tough tackles. Like when you say tough tackles, there was a lot of fair tackles.
Yeah,
There was on the other side. I thought there was a few unfair tackles which went unpunished. I think that's probably what we're missing from our game is a little bit of dirtiness in there, just a little bit of meanness. It kills me to say it, but that since the World Cup, I feel that's the way the game has gone. I think there's a little bit of nastiness in some of the teams, and some of the teams themselves have a couple of nasty players in there capable of getting in your face and making your life difficult and putting in a little bit extra into the challenge and pushing off the ball and stuff like that.
it sounds like you're describing Ruisha Littlejohn there.
Well, Ruisha was a favourite of ours throughout the last couple of years. She's a bit of an enforcer in there. Like Kenza Daly for her size can be a bit like that too, and it's quite obvious we're missing her as well. And then of course Kirsty Hansen has that in her locker. She's well able to handle herself in those challenges. So I felt that was probably ultimately what not ultimately what cost us, but what ultimately made them have the attacking impetus for most of the 90 minutes.
Yeah. Well, I thought a real turning point in the game was when Palova and Lacasse came on for Arsenal there, 64th minute, and they rejigged the kind of system. Kim Little pushed forward, and they were just rampant from then on.
Yeah,
it was relentless.
It troubled us a lot having Little in that hole. She just seemed to be the outball at every opportunity, and it was just her trying to pick those little intricate passes that she's really, really good at. And eventually they did get one opportunity from an intricate pass, but just didn't score from it. Yeah. Is that the one? Was it save? Was it?
Almost immediately after the substitution, Caitlin Ford, she hit the post and came back out to Russo, and Daphne Van Domselaar got down to it and
got down brave. Yeah. Thanks for reminding me, Stephen. So where do we go from there?
Well, Nobs came on for Simone McGill, who I thought played quite well. Her first game in a long time. Long time she had that many minutes for Villa anyway. Mm-hmm. And Nobs got a bit of a clapping from the Arsenal fans. At least she deserves from them.
At least she deserves after the service she's put in for the club. But it was a different type of substitution as well. It was more of a out and out midfielder as opposed to the attacking option that Simone McGill gives. Yeah. So did that help us in any way? It didn't really, did it? It just
I don't know. Arsenal were just all over us at that stage. It's a tough role to come into for the Nobs, I'd say. And I wouldn't want to be going into that role myself at the time.
No, absolutely not. So between there and the 90 minutes, let's say, what did anything else exciting happen?
Well, Lucy Parker got a yellow. I'm not sure entirely what for, because they didn't really show the replay because Beth Mead was too busy warming up and coming on.
There you go.
That's obviously where we want the cameras at the time.
Exactly. I have a feeling it might have been for dissent, but if you're going to give it for dissent, every time Katie McCabe was near the ball, there was dissent. So what's good for Katie McCabe should be good for our players too. Unfortunately, that is not the case, and we're back to a situation where there is a little bit of favoritism towards the bigger clubs or perceived bigger clubs. So it was quite obvious that BBC were wishing for a Beth Mead success story or fairy tale comeback, which she got ultimately without getting on the score sheet herself. But it is kind of hard to listen to as a Villa fan, and even down to the extent where on a couple of occasions they were talking about VAR and what VAR. They called one off. So the assistant referee gave an offside, which was offside, and they were going, "Oh, VAR now." And then in the same breath, they were talking about a penalty and not wanting VAR. Yeah. So I don't know. Make up your mind.
Well, when the main character was coming on there, we also saw Ebony Salmon and Olivia McLaughlin come on for Pacheco and Blinkilde.
The birthday girl, Olivia McLaughlin. Happy birthday, Olivia.
A few days late now at this stage. But
well, we're talking about her birthday, so we can say happy birthday.
Yeah, so that kind of rejigged the system a bit as well, because no defender on the bench. We had to bring on Olivia McLaughlin, and it's just we need a bit of depth in defence. I'm not sure how there's no defender on the bench at this stage.
Yeah, but it's quite obvious that there's not we don't have enough players.
Yeah.
Bear in mind that we're only a few years back into the top division. It's going to take time to grow, and we did really, really well last year. So I've no doubt that it will happen. We've just got to be patient with it, and but for 12 minutes injury time,
yeah,
like people always say, oh yeah, but the goals were scored in 92 and 94. It's what it gives you, that little boost that it gives you. I couldn't see where 12 minutes came from. Could you?
Yeah.
There
was a few.
There was a few injuries. You mentioned the knock that the one that Rachel Corsi got in the face. We had Van Domselaar down for less than a minute. I make it, and then Maz Pacheco went down for less than a minute before she went off.
Daly had a minute or two as well.
Daly did. Yeah. Yes, you're right.
Not 12.
Not 12 minutes.
Near 12
so
minutes.
it felt to me that they gave Arsenal every opportunity. It would have been a bit more sour had it come later in the 12 minutes.
Yeah.
But as it happened, the first goal came, and I have a sneaky suspicion there was a foul in the lead up to that.
A sneaky suspicion.
Suspicion.
More than a sneaky suspicion, I'd say.
From
the half replays we saw from weird angles, it was tough to make out if she got the ball. But from that half an angle we got where you can see she didn't look like she was anywhere near the ball.
No, it certainly didn't look like she got anywhere near the ball, and it left the covering player from that side in a heap on the ground.
Yeah.
And what happened from there?
The ball got to Pelova and McCabe overlap and run, which would have been covered by McLaughlin, who was on the floor from the challenge, who ran on, had time and space in the box and scored.
Yeah, and in fairness to Daphne Van Domselaar, she did what she could. If she'd have stayed standing and it went in low, we'd be complaining. But she dipped and gave herself every chance to take a low shot, and it was just hammered into the roof of the net. And it's just our luck this season so far, isn't it? We can talk all day about the run of fixtures. I don't want to go down that road again, but we're heading towards an international break now, and it probably will come at a good time.
One of two teams in the league not to win,
not to register a win.
Other team.
So talk us through the winning goal before we get on to that.
Just before the winning goal, they'd hit the post, Blackstenius. So they could have put them 3 or 4, 5 or 6.
They could have, yep.
Meaves got her fairy tale assist, from her 11 months out. The superstar is back, but she laid it off to Russo, who threw a few bodies, got slid underneath that Van Domselaar's arm, and a really tough way to concede, I thought.
Yeah.
2 so quickly.
And look, we have been banging the drum for Van Domselaar for the last couple of games.
Yeah.
It wasn't her best game by any stretch. I'm sure she's probably beaten herself up over that goal. I think she knows herself she probably should have got to it. It was hard to tell from the angles too whether it did take a deflection or she anticipated a deflection, and that's why her positioning was slightly off. But I still felt she had enough to get down and save the shot that was there.
Yeah.
She should have done better with it. Absolutely should have done better with it. And
she was unchallenged for a long time in that game, where she didn't have many saves to make, maybe collect a few crosses, then go from that, and then being hounded by Arsenal.
Yeah. So I reckon for those,
I have some sympathy for her.
Yeah, from Maz Pacheco going off until they scored it was like the Alamo. They were in on top of us for the whole thing. Unfortunately, as I said, it is unfortunate. We've got a really good team. We're missing those 2 players, as we keep alluding to, and it really does make a difference when you're chasing a game or you're trying to see out a game to be able to bring on some of them players. It's frustrating, but look, we'll have to draw a line under it. We have to think that going into the game at the weekend that we're going to start picking up points.
Yeah.
And as Lucy Parker tweeted out, stick with us, it's coming. I think that's the important message to take. I think we can see it's coming. I think we've competed with Man United, Liverpool, Arsenal. I know we probably didn't see Liverpool having such a strong start, but they did. Ironically, they beat us by 2 clear goals when the others only beat us by 1. So it was 2-1. The first one was at Man U, I think it was. Rachel Daly scored first, yeah. So yeah, it's a tough start. We've got a really good team. We've got a really good manager. We've got to push to the weekend now. It's important in so many ways, but I suppose the main thing that happens after this is we go into an international break. So we'd like to go in on a high. You've got to think that we will be able for Spurs. You would hope so.
You would hope so.
Yeah. We're due a bit of luck. We still don't have Kirsty Hansen back. It's unlikely that we have Kenza Daly back. It didn't seem to be any injuries from the weekend.
No.
So
we're also missing Georgia Mullet from the bench.
Yeah.
I didn't say anything about it. I'm not sure if she's injured.
Yeah, she was a young player. Maybe he felt it wasn't ready for that atmosphere, and look, because she could only bring on 5 players. Yeah. So maybe she was covered in all those positions. But then again, you'd ask yourself, why not just bring her on anyway for the experience, which is what they do at all levels of the game. But look, we don't get those in-depth interviews. We can't demand them either because they're not paid the money that the men are paid. Yeah. So we'll draw a line under that one. We look forward to the next one. So we have it on Saturday at 12:30. 12:30 start on Saturday. We can only hope for a win if you're going there. We would encourage you to get behind the team. I did have a shout out to give and I've completely forgotten about it. Any chance you'd fill there for a second and try and find it?
Well, I think the next game is the big one for us. The first 3 games, they're very tough fixtures, and this next one against Tottenham is where we make or break the season. I think it could be our turning point where we start picking up points, start climbing the league table, starting from the bottom. We didn't give ourselves a good place to start from, but it's still very tight. There's a lot of people who drop points. So Arsenal haven't had a great start. Liverpool dropped points at the weekend. So we're not out of it by any stretch of the imagination, but we've just made life a little bit tougher for us. Or, to be fair, the fixtures that we've had have made life very, very difficult for us. Michael Huggins, who listens to our podcast at a regular basis, his daughter and son-in-law were at the game with his granddaughter, Evan, who was attending our first Aston Villa game at the weekend. So despite the result, Evan, I hope you had an amazing day. There's nothing like going to see our heroes play in the flesh. I hope you were kicked out and you kitted out in claret and blue, courtesy of your grandfather. If you weren't, I'll be asking some serious questions. But I think that's going to do us for today. Have you anything else to add, Stephen? All that's left to say is up the Villa.
Up the Villa.